Well, hello class. In this video, I'm going to show you how to do the glass or the of this building. That's the last step to fill in the building elements here. Now, the steps we're going to use in this actually work quite well no matter how you're composing a drawing. Now, using only Photoshop tools like we're doing in this set of assignments is not the only way of creating an architectural perspective rendering, but this technique I'm using for glass really works in any way you do it. You can add it to almost any drawing. It works really well. So the first thing I'm going to do to this drawing is turn on all the landscaping, because essentially what we want to do is make it look like the glass is reflecting the rest of the landscaping. So I got to turn it on. And well, the building's not going to reflect itself because it can't quite see itself. So what I also then need to do is turn off all of the building layers. So I just get my landscaping just like this. Now what I'm going to do is just get it on one layer so I can manipulate it. So it's going to take a few steps. Pay attention. You want to make sure you do this right. So I'm going to go to Layers, Flatten Image, and say OK. I'm going to do Control A to select everything, Control C to copy. You could go Edit Copy as well. And I'm going to go File, New. And I'm just going to say create. So I'm going to create an image of the same size. I'm going to do Control V to paste it in, just so I have it off on the other side. Because what I don't want to do is I don't want to end my drawing with no layers over here. So to resurrect that drawing now is I'm just going to do Control Z. I'm going to undo a bunch of those steps till I get all my layers back just like this. All right. And once I've done that, I can turn all my building elements on. Oh, I've got a little pasted layer there. There we go. You probably won't have that. I just did an extra control paste there. So don't worry about that. I see it there. It's no problem. So I've got my landscaping on the second tab here. I'm just going to Control A again and select it all. And now I have to bring it back into this drawing. I know it's a bunch of steps, but it's basically what you need to do. And I'm going to Control V to paste it in on top of mostly everything I have here. Now I can temporarily again turn off all my landscaping. I know it's a bunch of steps. It's not too bad though. So I just want to see the house. I'm going to turn them off, and I'll even turn this thing off. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually what I'll do is I'm going to turn this layer back on. This is going to be my reflection or my glass layer. So let me call this glass. And I don't want to be in the exact same position. All right, because the reflection's not going to be perfect. So I'm going to maybe move this way over to the right just like this. Yeah, somewhere around here. It can just be off to the side. I just want to make sure this image is covering all my windows. All right, and one thing you could, yeah, we'll do that. We'll put it right there. And I'm going to adjust the colors. Now I'm going to just temporarily hide it, because what I need to do is I need to go to my Magic Lasso and I need to select all my glass surfaces. So I'm just going to come in here to make sure multiple is selected, make sure the addition feature is there. And in this case, I'm getting a lot. You know what? I'm going to go to my polygon lasso and just trace out the glass areas. There's some slight internal features being shown, and that's why my magic wand's not quite working as easily as I want it to. That's okay. I can do it this way. So I'm just going to trace around each of those glass zones. And I'm doing it a bit quickly for this video. You might want to zoom in a little bit further and take more time. In fact, you don't need to see me clicking each piece of glass to make it a selection set. So what I'm going to do is I'll come back when I'm done. All right, so you can see I've got each of my glass panes just selected out. I'm going to turn on this layer. That's going to be my reflection layer. Now, right now I have my glass selected, but I actually want to delete away everything else. So I'm going to go Select, Inverse. So everything else is now except the glasses selected, and hit Delete. And I have, you know, what looks like glass reflecting. Now we're going to do a couple more tweaks to this, but to really get a sense of how this looks, I'm going to turn on all my landscaping features just like this. All right. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure I'm on my glass layer. And the one thing about glass being reflecting, usually it's a little darker. We can try a few different filters on this, but I'm to make things darker, I'm going to adjustments. I'm going to go to levels, and I can pull down on this black bar to make the darks darker, and I can pull down on the gray middle one to make the middle the sort of lighters, darker as well, and play with all these settings just to sort of get this. Is going to sort of make it more saturated, which is also just perfectly fine to do. Just like this. So I'm just going to keep playing with these until I get it approximately where I want to. You know, something like this, darker, more gray than what it otherwise would look. And say, okay. Now again, when we get into more 3D modeling, you can add transparencies to actually see through this inside the building. That would help a lot further. That's not what this drawing is, so we can't really do that to here. But some of the other things we might be able to try is we might be able to add some filters to it just to distort it a little bit because glass is usually not perfect. So I'm going to try to go to Filter Gallery, and I am going to go to Distort. And we might even try to use the glass distort here. We'll try to find something. You can see it's sort of very distorty there. So we'll just try the settings and see how they go. Yeah, I think I need to be fairly smooth actually. I just need a little bit of non-smoothness, and I don't need too much distortion in it. We'll see what happens when I say okay. Just lightly putting some distort on it, some waviness, you know, could help a little bit there. I might even try to blur it a little bit, see how it looks. It won't take a lot of blur. We'll try to go to Gaussian blur this time to get a little bit more control out of it. Yeah. You can see it's not going to be very much at all. Otherwise it starts to go crazy. That's too much already. Anyway, we'll just do 2, approximately 2. And there we go. We've got some reflection. Now, of course, the greater you have the landscape, the more defined the landscape is, the better these reflections will look. And it's easier to do landscape using photographs rather than just painting everything in Photoshop. But that's not what these lessons are about. Also, if this were a real 3D model where I can control what's inside, would also improve these reflections. But as an overall layer to sort of make all drawings that do this trick of taking all the landscape and applying it over top of the glass and making it darker is actually a quick way to enhance glass in almost any rendering style in Photoshop. So good luck with that, and we'll keep moving on to the next drawing.